back. This is theZim, and this is theZim video, and this is my review show where I review things. I've been doing some unboxings, but today we're going to talk about the review of the new Avengers movie. Oh my god. Everybody's just like, what the heck? So this is like a spoilery kind of review. I'm going to talk freely about it, so hopefully you'll enjoy me in the comments. Tell me what you think as well. But first off, just straight up, I thought it was an excellent movie. I thought it was a great movie. Amazing movie. So good. Give you a little context. My favorite of the MCU, I've watched all the MCU movies, obviously, but my favorite so far, which is fun to find out because everybody seems to have different favorites. My favorites are the new Thor Ragnarok movie and the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I just thought those two were amazing. I loved them. Loved everything about them. I'll talk about those at another time maybe, if you're interested. But for Avengers Infinity War, things I liked about it. I thought it paced really well. I thought all the characters that, they obviously had the hierarchy of characters of who was important. Iron Man, Captain America, and then some other characters underneath that. They gave them all adequate screen time that made you feel like, you didn't feel shorted. Never felt shorted. Maybe Black Widow could have had a little more screen time, but in terms of the story, it really didn't matter. But the thing that I loved the reveals, like when they revealed different things that were happening in the movie based on old movies up till this movie, and have like the reveal of Bruce Banner first seeing Black Widow, like knowing that what happened, they were kind of had this thing going, and then it's been 2 years and so that kind of happened, and the whole awkward moment that happened there, and the reveal of, well, obviously my favorite reveal of the whole movie was Captain America's reveal when Scarlet Witch and Vision were fighting the Black Order folks. I don't know the names of all the Black Order people, but they're fighting, and then the two Black Order, they could sense something was happening. Somebody else is here, and and then it's like the train goes by, and you see the silhouette. They throw the spear at them, and it's like boom. And I like how, in general, it feels like they're like evolving the characters, right? And through the evolution of the characters, they're discovering their power within themselves, and they're giving each of these, especially the main ones like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man, their abilities are enhancing as they go along. Because it's like, it feels like, wow, like the fact that Captain America, especially in this movie, his power rating kind of significantly enhanced from where he's been progressively getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and it's like, okay, Captain America is not somebody you want to mess with, and same with, Thor is like a god, right? But like in this movie in particular, he's like, they really were like, he can breathe in space, it's like, okay, yeah, he's like something crazy powerful being, this person is, and what he's able to do is pretty crazy. But then some of the other reveals that I really appreciated were, the Red Skull, like bringing him back in was like, I was like, oh yes, finally, because you knew, what's the actor's name? But he's not on board with being in more of these movies, but his contract said he was gonna be in more, and they just needed to use him somewhere to kind of, they didn't need to use him, but he was like under contract to be in it somewhere, and probably was like, this is a nice way to not burden him with having to deal with the whole thing, but just giving him a thing and doing some fan service for us that really liked the whole idea. And so having him show up was like, oh my god, that's so perfect. That was so awesome. A couple more reveals. I don't know. I can't think of them at this moment, but and then the jokes, like there was laugh out loud moments throughout the whole movie. I thought it was great. And a couple of one of the ones that kind of stood out for me was the when Thor got the eye to put in, and Rocket Raccoon was like, hey, you might not want to put, it's because he's like, I had to sneak that out and they cut. It was just different things like that. Super funny. So the big questions, right, is like, what's going to happen now? And my theory on what happens now, since they just kind of totally like blew apart the MCU in a way that's like, what the heck? No, I had no idea. I had no, the internet, I didn't let myself be spoiled by the internet, but the internet didn't find out, and I didn't know, like nobody, like I watch a lot of video movies about movies, and nobody knew what was coming. Nobody knew what was coming up until recently, up until we started actually seeing the movie. And so it's like, what's next? What's going to happen next? Does this mean like half the MCU is actually dead or what? The things that I took away from it, and I'd love to hear what you think as well, but the things that I took away from it, I think Doctor Strange is playing a big role in what's to come next because, you know, obviously he was the only one that knew the way to beat Thanos. He said it in the movie. You know, it's like, I just watched a billion different realities happen, and there's only one that works. There's only one that'll beat Thanos. So he knew that giving him the Time Stone was part of beating Thanos, but they just didn't let us know as viewers. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. The idea that he could have manipulated, you know, like an off camera thing, which is kind of what I'm worried about, but an off camera thing like he did in his movie, in Doctor Strange movie, where he started a time loop on this whole thing. He let it play out in a sense to see what would happen, so that then they could go back and go like, well, this is what happened, let's do it the right way this time. I could see something like that happening, which I'm kind of less interested in. I don't want that to be the case, because I don't want to. I hate it when things are pointless. I hate it when we go through a whole movie and go like, oh, well, that was pointless because we're just going to restart it again. You know, I just don't like that as a personal aside to how books and movies and ideas. That's why I have a really hard time with the Memento movie with, who was it? The Dark Knight Returns director, and Inception. Oh, I can't remember. But the director for all those movies, one of his first movies was in Memento, and it was the same thing. Where it was like, you found out at the end that the whole movie didn't matter because they made it up, in a sense. He just made it up. So, anyways, going back to Infinity War, so if something like that happens where it's like we jump back in time and go, well, all that happened didn't happen because we're just jumping back in time. That's one thing I'm worried about. Another thing to point out is Marvel has never had a problem with killing off people and bringing them back. Coulson, Captain America died in the first movie, essentially died, but then came back. Like Loki died, came back. I mean, there's a few examples of Marvel killing things and bringing them back. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. There's another theory I heard where all the souls of all the people, like all these superheroes and everybody essentially, I guess, are stored in the Soul Stone so that they can be retrieved back out of it. Maybe, possibly, is something that could happen. Because the things we know is that, Spider-Man has another movie coming out. So we know, because if Spider-Man is gone in this movie, he's not gone forever, because he has another movie coming out, unless they decide to put the timeline of that movie before Infinity War, which is totally possible, but it doesn't seem logical. And then I feel like we're going to find out something more in Ant-Man, even though the trailers at this point haven't told us anything. Like, we can't decipher anything from the trailers, but I think the quantum realm will matter on what's to come. I really feel strong about that, because if they were inside the quantum realm or something happened to that while something, I think there's something in that's going to happen in the future with the results of Infinity War, like why the Ant-Man and the Wasp weren't in this movie and what the quantum realm has to do with. So like there are some things there that are significant, but it'll be interesting. Obviously, we're all waiting. I think the way Marvel made this movie, I mean, I don't know where to rank it. I really liked it. It, like I was saying earlier, it paced really well. The jokes were really good. Everybody got good screen time. I didn't feel shorted. I didn't feel cheated. I was blown away by the end. I was like, oh my god. But, part of me in the moment, I was like, it was so unsatisfying. But what it created for me is just a crazy desire to learn more. Like, I want to know. I want to see the next one. And luckily, we only have to wait a year to do that. We don't have to wait very long to find out what happens, what this all means, what happens. And of course the end credit scene with Nick Fury and Hill contacting Miss Marvel, and like, or Captain Marvel, like, or that whole, whatever that means. And I think, to me, the little device, the pager device he was holding, looked out of worldly. It didn't look like earthly made. It looked like it kind of reminded me of something from like Thor Ragnarok, something weird, something from a different planet, you know, or something, you know. So I feel like the fact that Captain Marvel wasn't in this one is like he was contacting somebody not on Earth, you know, is kind of what I'm feeling about it. He was contacting, maybe even contacting through time, contacting Captain Marvel at a place, she's somewhere else that wasn't affected somehow by this whole chain of events. I mean, we're obviously assuming that if it is in the same timeline, she was one of the ones that wasn't drifted off into something. And then how is Captain Marvel going to affect the whole thing? Like, how powerful are they going to make it? Because you can't go by the comic books, because obviously the comic books, they're making this its own universe. You know, Thanos, from what I understand, should have been way more powerful than he was in this movie if he was really the Thanos from the comic books. So they're making this kind of whole thing its own universe. Obviously the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's not the comic book universe. So how they're going to play Captain Marvel, how are they going to use Captain Marvel, and how powerful is she going to be, and what role is she going to play, will be very interesting to find out. Because obviously from the comics, how her origin story, if they use this, they can't use the same origin story because there's too many characters that they haven't explained yet. So they wouldn't do that. They'd probably start her more like the way Captain America started or something, or I don't know. We'll have to just wait and see. And the fact that her origin or her first movie is going to be set in the 90s, and it's going to be interesting. And then of course, where's Hawkeye? Does Hawkeye even matter? Is he going to play a role? Is he one of the ones that disappeared, or is he going to come back, or how does that all play out? I mean, he played a pretty significant role in Age of Ultron, just being a moral, like a leader, like a person that brought the team together and helped guide the team. So it'll be interesting to see where he plays into this whole thing. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, I love the movie. I thought it was excellent. And like I was saying, it leaves you at the end going, what the, you know, what, how, no, what? But as I had a few days or a day to digest it, and like, this was an amazing movie. This just wants me, I'm like foaming to find out what happens next. Super excited. Alright, thanks for watching. If you're digging on just my thoughts and ideas on things, be sure to subscribe to this video, thumb it up if you want to help me out, and then also share it around with some peeps if you think it's cool. Alright, peace. Be good. Be excellent to each other.